Grad students at Northwestern, University of Chicago, Stanford, and Harvard, among others, across the country are protesting what they call unfair working conditions.
They've been telling us that we support you, but ultimately they're not actually doing anything that would support us.
Because they are labeled students, they receive low stipends with little or no benefits and no negotiating power. That's central to the debate on whether grad students should be considered students or workers.
The university is being run like a business. They extract all this labor from us, the grading, the research, but they don't let us actually be workers and unionize.
Vital service includes teaching classes, designing courses, and creating syllabi. Presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders said this system has been going in the wrong direction and introduced a bill in late January to recognize students as workers. He said stronger unions and worker protections are a key part of solving this crisis and criticized the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, of stripping graduate workers of their rights instead of protecting them.
Union power!
While the NLRB considers all grad students employees, protests were spurred by its proposed ruling that private university and college students no longer be considered workers. The organization invited public comments until January 29th and told Newsy they don't know when they'll be making the ruling official. It's important to note that this is the third time the NLRB switched their stance since 1972. The presidential appointed board usually decides based on his or her politics regarding unions.
When people say this is a part of your education, this is a part of your training, while that's technically true, it doesn't account for the whole story.
Instead of waiting for the NLRB decision, students like Reese Richardson have joined grad student unions to fight for union recognition and workers' rights at their school. Richardson's university, Northwestern, echoed the NLRB's position in a statement. Classifying students as employees would significantly change the relationship between students, their faculty mentors, and the university. Unionization and collective bargaining are not the appropriate methods.
You're not allowed to get a second job. You can't have any supplemental income, and the end-all be-all is you have to survive.
At Northwestern, Richardson gets his tuition waived and works 40 hours a week on top of his classes to earn a stipend of about $33,000 a year. He still has to pay for books, food, student activity fees, and housing. Northwestern's main campus is located in Evanston, which is 10% more expensive than Chicago. So Richardson can't afford to live close to his school. He makes $16 an hour, but you have to make $18 an hour to afford the average studio apartment in Chicago.
I'm very fortunate in that I'm still on my parents' plan for health insurance, for instance, and my family's also close by. So if I need support or if I need a place to stay, I can always turn to them for help. For a lot of people, that's not the case.
The financial pinch is felt even harder by women, underrepresented minorities, and international students. A study by the Council of Graduate Schools found that more than half of grad students were stressed about their finances. Women and underrepresented minorities were the most stressed. The Center for Responsible Lending found nearly 85% of Black bachelor graduates carry student debt, compared to 69% of white graduates. So imagine a Ph.D. program that takes 5 or 6 years to complete. Black and Hispanic students tend to carry higher educational debt than their counterparts. Combined with an insufficient stipend, it can make higher education accessible only to those who can afford it. The living wage issue impacts grad students at public schools, too.
We can't eat tuition waivers. Tuition waivers don't pay for groceries. They don't pay your rent or your bills.
In the coming months, students say we can expect more unionizing and protests.
We're going to continue building power at this university.